Thank you. A smile appeared on his face. Please wait a little longer. I will take you to the hospital. Even though it was urgent, Gunhee shook his head. It's no use healing magic, cannot fix what happened. President Go. Jinwoo was angry. He said that, but he stopped when the president's shaking hand touched his. Listen closely. Gunhee opened his eyes wide, like a fire burning brightly before going out. I saw what the powerful beings want. I know their plans, who they fight against, and what we have to do. Blood came from my mouth. I'm happy we have you here. I didn't know you had this much power. Thank goodness. Gunhee started to cry as he looked at Jinwoo. He held Jinwoo's hand tightly with both of his, and spoke with a trembling voice. The gates and dungeons weren't meant to hurt people. They were created to keep us safe. Gunhee coughed, and a little bit of dark red blood came out. Jinwoo quickly tried to use the special healing potion, but President Go shook his head. He understood how serious his illness was better than anyone. One day you will have to make a decision. When that time comes, please stay and help people. The sadness in Gunhee's voice made Jinwoo feel bad, but he could only listen carefully and promise to do what the president asked. I wanted to fight with strong young people like you, but my body wouldn't let me. Gunhee was telling him this wish for the very first time. Some people said he started the group just to make money. Others were unkind and called him a silly old man who wanted too much control. But what bothered him the most was not being able to use the important abilities he had been given. Gunhee started the group using his own money, because he wanted a way to use his abilities. He created a place where he could be near other hunters, and help them. Even so, he thought it was all worth it. I trust the future to people like you. President Go let go of Jinwoo's hand, and it fell to the floor. He looked away from Jinwoo and up at the ceiling of his office. Maybe because he was crying. The usually dark light seemed very bright, so he blinked. I am so happy and relieved. Thank you, thank you. He didn't say anything else after that. Jinwoo checked and saw the president was no longer breathing. He gently closed Gunhee's eyes. President Go looked very peaceful when he said his last words of thanks. Jinwoo looked up. Drip, drip. It had been cloudy all morning, and rain finally started falling outside the broken window. The next day, the same news was on the front page of every newspaper. First, a famous hunter from Brazil named Jonas had been found dead by a river. Second, the president of the Hunters Association of Korea had died from a large wound in his chest. Last, Jinwoo Sung had come back to Korea. Chris Reed was on his mind. Jonas and Gunhee Go were famous hunters. When news spread that they had died, people everywhere were shocked and worried. It seemed like a very dangerous time. News organizations all over the world reported on the deaths of these heroes. The Hunter Command Center in the United States said they were working with hunter groups in other countries to find out who was responsible and to stop them. It wasn't surprising that people were very worried. The walls that kept everyone safe from dangerous magical creatures had been destroyed. While news reporters and hunters talked about what happened, the Hunters Association of Korea showed a video from a camera in President Go's office. Oh my goodness. Oh, people were shocked and scared by what they saw. The video showed two men. One was President Go, and the other stabbed him in the chest with something like a knife. It was easy to see the second man wasn't a human. He was an ice elf. This magical creature usually lives in dungeons, and is very dangerous. A video clearly showed him capturing a skilled hunter. Pictures of the creature's face quickly spread online. Everyone was shocked by the video. Hunters weren't just the ones doing the hunting, they could also be hunted themselves. This caused a lot of fear among regular people. Hunters had always kept everyone safe, but now people wondered who could protect the hunters. Things got even more complicated when people began to say that hunters shouldn't be allowed to travel to other countries. They remembered that President Go had been killed while Hunter Jinwoo was away from Korea. This brought attention back to Jinwoo during the confusing time. Everyone knew Jinwoo and President Go were friends, so people wondered what Jinwoo thought, but Jinwoo didn't say anything. After a few days, the investigation into how President Go died was finished. The day before the funeral, Jinwoo went to visit the Hunters Association. Director Woo looked very tired when he came into the waiting room. I'm sorry, Hunter Sung. I've been running around a lot these past few days. He rubbed his untidy beard as he apologized to Jinwoo. The day they came back from the United States, some surprising news made Director Woo hurry to the Hunters Association right after they landed at the airport.
That was 3 days ago, before he could explain why he was there.
Jinwoo asked Jinchul a question. Why didn't you show us all of the video from the security camera? The Hunters Association had only shared the part of the video that showed a close look at the Frost Monarch's face. The part showing Jinwoo and Baru going into the president's office wasn't shown. Jinchul sounded sad as he explained. Keeping hunters safe is the most important thing for the association. We decided it wasn't right for us to show the abilities you wanted to keep secret. Abilities were like special talents that hunters didn't want others to know about. Sharing what you're good at is like showing all your cards. The better a hunter is, the more they try to keep their abilities hidden. Knowing what someone can do could help them in a fight. Jinwoo had a skill that let him instantly travel from the United States to the Hunters Association building. The Hunters Association thought it wasn't right to show this ability to everyone without Jinwoo's permission. If President Go were still alive, he would have agreed. No one admired President Go more than Jinchul Woo. He became upset when he talked about his mentor who had passed away. That's why you looked so serious when we got on the plane, Jinchul said. Jinwoo agreed that Jinchul was right to think that. Jinchul had been wondering why Jinwoo seemed upset, but it became clear when he watched the video. Was the monster too strong for you to defeat? Jinwoo shook his head. When I got there, President Go was already seeing how sad Jinwoo looked. Jinchul lowered his head. I'm sorry, I know you're sad about him too, but I'm really upset. Jinchul understood that Jinwoo wasn't to blame for President Go's death, and the hunter trying to tell him it wasn't personal actually made the director feel worse. I still can't believe this happened. Jinchul looked down at the floor. President Go told me to come back quickly, because he wanted to hear about my trip to the US. So why did he have to? Jinchul couldn't finish what he was saying. Jinwoo waited calmly for him to continue. What did President Go say? Before he died, he said he felt relieved. What? Jinchul looked up, surprised. He said he was relieved that there were young people like me to help with the future. Oh, thinking about President Go worrying about everyone's future during his last moments made Jinchul cry again. He brushed away a tear and nodded. Thank you for staying with President Go until the very end. The calm expression on the man's face showed he really meant he was glad it was over. Jinchul was truly grateful. Jinwoo listened quietly to Jinchul. His thoughts had been confused for the last few days, so he felt much better after talking with Jinchul. I will find the creature that hurt President Go and make it pay. What? Jinwoo said firmly. I will defeat the monster who caused President Go's death. No matter what. This wasn't just about President Go, but also a message to any creature that threatened Jinwoo. Jinchul had trouble swallowing. Even though the hunter didn't seem angry at him, it was hard for Jinwoo to breathe. Jinwoo's strong anger felt like a heavy weight on Jinchul's shoulders. Jinwoo lowered his anger when he saw Jinchul's face turn white. Please save your thank yous for later. Jinchul nodded and tried to slow his fast heartbeat. Okay. He then wondered why Jinwoo was there. A hunter like Jinwoo probably wasn't just curious about why the rest of the video hadn't been shown to everyone. Oh my. Now that I think about it, I haven't asked why you came. Jinwoo asked for something he had been thinking about for several days and had a hard time deciding about. Do you think you can set up a press conference for me? The place where the press conference was held was full of reporters. Jinwoo had been a hunter people talked about for a while. This was his first time talking to reporters, so none of them wanted to miss it. The noisy room became quiet when Jinwoo arrived. Everyone looked at him as he started to speak. A group of very smart magical creatures is trying to attack the best hunters. These creatures are stronger than any hunter, and will do anything to reach them. A group of magical creatures. Did more than one magical creature cause President Go's death? The reporters were very surprised to hear this news, but Jin will learn about the 9 monarchs and the upcoming fight between them and the rulers from the King of Giants, who is one of the monarchs. The monarchs first went after hunters who were using powers from the rulers. 3 of those hunters were already gone, and people didn't know how many more were in danger. Jinwoo had used his shadows to show where the hunters were on the Hunter Command Center's radar, but he couldn't watch everyone all the time. People who were hurt could appear anywhere, even in surprising locations like President Go. This sudden news conference was supposed to be a warning to everyone who might be targeted by the magical creatures. Before attacking, these creatures used magic to trap the people they wanted to hurt in another dimension. This was very important information. And Jinwoo could share this information because he had actually met a very powerful being. If you think you might be in danger, please stay near coworkers who can help keep you safe. But what? Jinwoo explained the real reason for the press conference. If you don't have anyone to help you, you can contact me through the Hunters Association of Korea. Oh The reporters were impressed and made sounds of approval. Jinwoo was the hunter who had defeated Thomas Andre, a very skilled hunter. He seemed so confident that it made people feel safer from the dangerous magical creatures. Jinwoo was also trying to accomplish two things at once. He wanted to use other hunters as bait to catch the monsters. This way he could learn where the strongest monsters, called monarchs, were moving, in case they tried to attack Ratat hunters like President Go. He was sure at least one monster would fall for his plan. As Jinwoo finished answering questions from reporters, they flooded him with more. From the Daily News. Hunter Sung. Where did you learn about these magical creatures? I've met them before. He had actually faced them twice. The first time was with the King of Giants in Japan, and the second was with the Frost Monarch in Korea. The reporters were surprised and quickly wrote down everything. Jinwoo said, "Were you not hurt in those battles?" Jinwoo's eyes sparkled. Yes, Jinwoo Sung had lived through fights with magical creatures. This was a big story, so the reporters quickly started taking pictures. Click, click, click. A reporter sitting in the back raised his hand. It was Mr. Kim, the reporter who had followed Jinchul into the dangerous dungeon, and wrote about the brave hunters who had risked everything there. Jinwoo looked at Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim quietly put his hand down, and asked his question in a clear voice. What will you do if you meet the monster that killed President Go? Jinwoo looked at Mr. Kim's angry and sad face before turning off the microphone. That's all for now. Then, Jinwoo walked off the stage. As he watched the hunter leave, Mr. Kim felt like he already knew what Jinwoo thought. Even without the hunter saying it. Sir, the two security guards were surprised to see Thomas. He told them to stay seated. Beep! Thomas put his thumb on the fingerprint scanner, and the automatic door opened quietly for him. Thomas and Laura went into the storage room in the basement of the Scavenger Guild building. These two important security guards were among the few people allowed inside. If something went wrong, they could immediately call Thomas's office upstairs. Thomas walked to the very back of the room. Are you sure you want to give those to him? A small sound happened. Another scanner checked their fingerprints and opened the way to where the items were kept. Why? Do you think these items cost too much, considering what my guild members and I have done to get them? No, I don't think so. But then do you think he isn't skilled enough to even use them? It wasn't worth trying to answer that question. Laura closed her mouth when she realized arguing with Thomas was pointless. The guildmaster stood looking at the items he had come for. Even though they weren't the weapons he would have chosen himself, his heart beat faster whenever he saw them. They still impress me. Thomas looked at them with admiration. Laura didn't want to let them go. There are only two of these in the entire world. That's true. And that won't change, will it? You are probably right, but you're still giving them away. That's exactly why I am giving them to him. Thomas smiled. 8 years had passed since the weapons were made, but the amazing power they gave off hadn't gotten any weaker. The best weapons for the best hunter. Would you want them to just sit here and decay? As if answering Thomas, the two daggers in the display case shone, reflecting the light. A feeling of sadness hung over the streets. He was the first president of the Hunters Association. Someone had to take action. But no one volunteered except Gun Hee Go. When the country needed strong hunters to unite, President Go quickly closed his successful company, and began working to build the association. The Hunters Association of Korea had done a lot of good work while President Go was in charge. The association made rules for hunters and kept them safe. It also helped the families of hunters who died while protecting people, giving them support in private. Many people who had received this help over the years came to the memorial service to show their sadness and remember President Go. People gathered in the area until there was no room left. They held a quiet candlelit gathering and shared their sadness. Television channels stopped their usual shows to share stories about President Go and all he had done. A large screen in the city showed video of President Go speaking to Congressman Jun Wook Nam. He said, "I hope everyone thinks carefully about who will protect us when another dangerous gate opens in our country. You can buy a fancy home that costs a lot of money, but you cannot buy more time to live." The walk signals turned, telling people it was safe to cross the street, but nobody moved. They were too busy looking at a large advertisement, or at their phones to notice anything else. A video then showed President Go's doctor speaking. He said that when President Go watched the broadcast of Hunter Jin Woo-sung fighting the creatures on Jeju Island, the president told him he would be happy even if he died, because his biggest hope had finally happened. I didn't realize we would lose him like this. The doctor's eyes were already sad, and he began to cry during the interview. It reminded people of when President Go cried with the families of the hunters, who died trying to stop the ants on Jeju Island. President Go had both people who supported him, and people who disagreed with him. Everyone showed respect for him that day. Later, Jinwoo stood on top of Daesung Tower, a very tall building with 100 floors. The wind didn't bother him at all. He looked at the bright lights of the city of Seoul. A show about President Go was playing on a large screen outside. Jinwoo looked over the whole city, watching carefully like a hawk looking for food. He had done this many times before, so his shadows quickly searched the city. They sent him lots of information, but none of it was helpful. They found no sign of the old Ice Slayer. This wasn't working. Jinwoo already knew it would be hard to catch a magical creature that could use special doorways to travel between different places. He had tried to put a shadow on the creature just before it got away. He didn't succeed because the creature lacked something that all living things have: a shadow. Perhaps this was related to its special energy form. The King of Giants explained to Jinwoo that powerful beings called monarchs and rulers couldn't become shadow soldiers because of this energy form they possessed. If monarchs didn't have shadows for that reason, Jinwoo had lost the best way to find them. But that wasn't important right now. The King of Giants had told Jinwoo that the other monarchs would come looking for him. Once they knew about him, they would return eventually, and this time they would be trying to find Jinwoo. Of course, when that time came, Jinwoo frowned. Since he made it through the difficult double dungeon and gained special abilities from the system, he had always defeated every enemy. This ice elf was the first one to escape. He had a great record of winning against humans and magical creatures, so he wasn't going to let this one get away. Wait a minute. Jinwoo stopped, realizing something strange about the enemies he had been fighting lately. He wondered about something. Did he get any messages from the system when he fought Dong Suhajwang or Thomas Andre? Usually the system would tell him if he was in danger with messages or special tasks. It always warned him when his life was at risk. Dong Sukhong and Taesik Kang, and Chul Kim, none of them had been any different. The system had even given Jinwoo a warning, when Ryuji Goto had tried his best during practice fighting. But the system never warned me about Dongsuk when he tried to get revenge for his brother, or when Thomas threatened my life. That didn't make sense. Jinwoo tried and tried, but he just couldn't understand what was happening. He got out his cell phone to check something. He was glad he had gotten the phone number he needed from the manager. It was 1 in the morning in Korea, but it should still be daytime on the east coast of the United States. Ring. As Jinwoo thought, the man answered after a few rings. I didn't expect you to call me first, Mr. Sung. Thomas sounded surprised. There's something I want to ask you. Me. Go ahead and ask. I'll try to answer truthfully. That day we fought, what do you want to know about it? Were you actually trying to hurt me badly? I thought we had moved past that. Thomas didn't seem eager to talk about it, so Jinwoo told him he was just curious. Thomas didn't have any secrets. The American paused for a moment but told the truth. I can't think clearly when I'm angry, so I really did want to hurt you at that time. As Jinwoo guessed, Thomas really had felt a strong urge to attack him when they met before. But the system didn't say anything at all. There was no doubt about it. Something was different. Mr. Sung, Thomas broke the quiet moment after Jinwoo answered by trying to change the subject. Let's not talk about this sad stuff. Why don't we talk about something really cool? I've been preparing click. Jinwoo didn't feel like joking with Thomas, so he quickly said goodbye and ended the call. Thomas's words made everything clear. The system didn't respond when someone tried to attack him anymore. This was very different from how it used to be. At first, the system had made him fight back against anyone who threatened him. He knew this was important. When Jinwoo first started, the system warned him that it would stop his heart if he didn't defeat his enemies. He thought the system was trying to control him and make him do what it wanted. But now that he wasn't getting those urgent requests to fight, he realized something had changed with the system's goals. Because of that, Jinwoo had more options, and he could choose to be kind to Thomas and let him live. He wouldn't have been able to do that If there had been an important task to complete right away, Thomas was happy to have more freedom, but he wasn't sure why he felt that way. Was this about what the first person with Jinwoo's power did to the other powerful beings? Or did their plans change when the person who created everything was defeated? Jinwoo shook his head to stop thinking so much. He needed to get his thoughts in order. He needed to decide what he wanted to achieve now. There were two things to do. One was to defeat the very old Ice Slayer. The other was to find out more about the other monarchs. It would be helpful if this information could be used against him quickly. But even if the Ice Slayer attacked the other hunters first, Jinwoo had prepared traps for them.